Let's get started. My name is Chase Stanley, aka Overdue Bobcat. You can find me at Overdue Bobcat 50 on Twitch. I haven't posted much in a little bit, but I'm be doing Far Cry 6 gameplay here in the next week or so. So if you want to check out some Far Cry 6, I'll be doing that here soon. But for today, I'm on my buddy's channel, Dan the Man. And for him, I'll be doing a little review for a little popular show right now called Squid Games. I'm obsessed with every little detail and every little theory and everything about it. So if you haven't caught it yet, and you've been wondering what the hell is everyone talking about on Facebook, like what's this, what the hell's with this cookie thing, and what's with these weird face, like pink jumpsuit guys and all this stuff, what is this, what is that? I'll go a little rundown on what the show is, what the show is about, give a little detail, and give a little reasons why you should watch it. But then I'm gonna go into right to that full spoiler territory. So I'll try to let you know right when I go into spoiler territory and really get into detail what I liked about the show, what I didn't like about the show, everything about it. So Squid Games is a K-drama, which stands for Korean drama. So it's a South Korean based TV show made that is been put on Netflix, and it's a mixed bag of kind of a couple different things. You can kind of put it with, like, imagine the show Lost with like reality TV shows like Survivor and things like that. They're the game show kind of things. A bunch of people that are in severe debt and who are cash strapped, they basically accepted a strange invitation to compete in children games, and each person that's eliminated, there's more cash added on to the main prize. Everyone being eliminated, one person standing, the total ends up being 45.6 billion won to the main winner of the game. So it's a little bit less in American money. You know, it's not really 45.6 like billion in American money. It's won. It's a little, different cash thing in Korea. When I say eliminated, I mean like they're dead. They die. It's a violent game where they play violent children games. Some of us know. There's some little bit kind of Korean games that I've never heard of. I'm sure they're more popular in Korea and not maybe popular in other countries, maybe some Asian countries and stuff. But games like Red Light, Green Light, and others. It's not just about the games, but it's also about like why the games are happening, the mystery behind the games in general, and why they're doing it. It's also about the characters and why they're competing for this money. What brought them here? The shitty lives that they live that brought them to this situation. So there's a lot of drama to it, and a lot of great character, a little bit of character development within the nine episodes, which I really enjoyed, and also really, really great acting. It's very memorable set pieces that are awesome, and this will be the next Halloween craze, by the way. So if you're thinking about watching, you don't know a Halloween costume, watch this show, because everyone's gonna be dressing up as this damn thing. If you want to know why everyone's dressing up as the characters from this show and what they represent, you got to watch this show. You got to understand why people are wearing pink jumpsuits with a circle, square, triangle face to them. I'm going to go into complete spoilers right about now. We're going to talk about spoilers. So if you haven't watched it, get out of here. Watch it. I don't like when people spoil good shows for them. But let's get into the show and what I loved about it. Starting off with kind of like what hooked me in. I think what hooks everyone in is that beginning first game that you see. Like, you get into the show and you start it off. It's kind of like you're learning the main character. Let me see. I'm gonna butcher a lot of these names, so I apologize. But the starting off with the main character, Sung Chi Hun. I think that's who it is. I could be wrong, but the main character, he is kind of goofy, and we're getting a little bit of like who he is. He's kind of the weird guy. Yeah, it's kind of just a weird, strange setup. Like, he all of a sudden, you can tell like he's betting all his money. He just has no money. He has dangerous people after him. They almost threaten to kill him and stuff like that, and you can tell that this guy is very desperate for money. And it's interesting. It's like, normal little thing. There's nothing that really pulls you in. But then he plays this game with this random dude in the suitcase, and I don't understand what that game is. I'm looking it up right now. It's called Pog or Dakchi. Yeah, it's where they threw the the envelope, and I always love this little fan theory that so he picked the blue envelope to throw down. The fan theory is that if you pick the blue envelope, you end up as one of the contestants, and if you pick the red one, you end up as one of the like the soldier workers, and which is interesting because we really actually don't know much about the workers. Like they seem to be kind of imprisoned in there, so I'm thinking that's a very possible reality that the red puts him as one of those people because that's what it seems like to me. What really hooks you in though is the next game. So whenever he joins the game, he chooses to go into it and play it, not knowing that there's death. Of course, it goes to that freaking ginormous, terrifying child, just child girl doll that turns her head 360 and is very terrifying. And even I listened to this all in sub. Sub is where it's at in my opinion with this. I cannot stand English dub with live action shows. But yeah, hearing that little Korean girl voice was just absolutely terrifying to me. And man, that scene really, I think that definitely is a scene that hooks you in, man, because you just get that first death, and then that first guy, he runs out, he's beating everyone, and all of a sudden he just drops. You can tell he moved, that he lost the game, and all of a sudden he drops. And the second everyone notices that he's dead, they go running, man, and all of a sudden it's just pure carnage. Like the show just turns into pure carnage, and everyone is being just gunned down by these snipers, one after another, after another, after another, after another. And that's one thing that's really good about the first episode, is you really get a sense of the feel of what the show's about. If you watch the first episode and you're not feeling it, you probably won't be into the rest of the show. The first show, I feel like, gives you really gives you what the show's about and what it's going to be. It's going to be this drama filled of like learning the character's background. It's going to be, the character work, and then it's going to be a violent game. And that's how the show works and goes on from here on out. And the crazy part, the games are just amazing. I love each one of the games. I'm very impressed with how each one, despite how like these games shouldn't be that intense, some of them are just like not even that really intensive games, but the scene, the way they do the scene, the way the actors like show how scared and sweaty they are, like the dread on their faces, like if they fail, they're going to die. And not only that, the designs of the sets are absolutely phenomenal. Each game has a unique design to its set and how it looks, and each one each one almost gets better and better, and I loved each one. And so you go with the red light, green light, and then there's the honeycomb candy, which was a game I'd never seen before, and I want to try one. It made me really hungry to watch that scene, to be honest. But that's an example of how some of these games that don't seem that exciting, the show made a really good job of really bringing the intensity in those moments and the dread of if they fail this, they will die. And the honeycomb candy one was a really good one because it seems so easy to break. Like you have to do that shape perfectly and bring it out without breaking that shape. And what's crazy to me is throughout all these games, I was like, okay, I know the main character's gonna live. Like that's just a common thing. If they killed him off, it would have been a huge surprise. But I was like, I know the main character's gonna live. I kind of guess these characters that we're watching are probably gonna live, especially through the second game. They're not gonna kill him off in the second game. But I've still felt that dread for the main character. I mean, he was always the last minute. Like he made it. Red light, green light, he barely made it past the final second. Honeycomb, he figured it out like a few minutes before the time was up. He figured out how to lick it and go through it. And then, of course, Tug of War was like when he leaned over the edge and like almost fell. I was like, he's going to live right now, but still, like they can't lose Tug of War because then all the characters we know are dead. And, but it's still like that intensive moments of them choosing to go 3 steps up and almost fall to their death was like super intense, man. You're like, holy shit, like that's a super risky move. A glass bridge, it terrified me. I hate it. Like glass bridge, like the heights and falling scares me as a Tug of War did, but glass bridge in particular, I couldn't imagine standing on this glass, like choosing which one. Like one of these is the right option, the other one is most likely not. And it's crazy to think like which one of these characters is going to take that wrong step, and it's crazy. And I love that one. And then of course Squid Game ends it. Still don't fully understand Squid Game and how that game works, but I kind of got it towards the end. And then again, like that's one of the things I thought was really good is each one of these games really had dread to them. This is also this list I was looking at. I forgot the marbles game too. The marbles game, very simple. They're playing marbles, and each person's playing a different form of marbles. But that dread of like, I mean, the dread is if your character loses, they die. And marbles in particular was one of the most dreadful because a lot of these characters that we knew were paired up with other characters that we knew. And so we knew that half of the characters we had gotten to know from this point were about to die. It was kind of like which ones are going to die, and that was the question. And it was intense, like these little games of marble, like having, of course, the old man going crazy and him having to chase him around. It's like, dude, get a hold of him. The whole game structure itself is that they didn't. So like they didn't, when they first brought him in, they didn't tell him that they were going to kill him. And then when all those people were slaughtered in the first game, like half the people that went into it, there's about 400, I think 56 was the last guy's number, was main character's number, and he was the last one. Half of them died. Like it was down to like 208 or something like that. They had a choice, like, do you want to still play or do you don't? And a lot of them left, but then ended up coming back. Like they went back out to their regular lives and lived their lives, and they realized their lives were so shit and pointless. Like their lives were, and they were so like strapped for cash, and because they didn't have any money, their lives sucked so bad that they were willing to go in, risk their lives, and willing to die. They'd rather go in and take their chances on death and take their chances on getting like rich than to go back out in the world where they know it's just going to suck and life is just going to be terrible. So they choose to go back into it. This was a voluntary thing, and that's one part of like the crazy psychological part of it. Like a bunch, like almost, it wasn't like all 208. I think it ended up, but it was like 90. I think they said 92 or 93% of them came back. Like 190 something came back to play, and so that it's crazy. Like things about that many people decided, hey, I'd rather be here. I'd rather either death or this or money, one of the two. Like on the third day or so or not, they started giving them less and less food, get them more so that they'd be more hungry and more antsy. And after one of them finally kills another person, while they're all sleeping in this ginormous room full of a bunch of different types of beds, one person kills another, and they realize that they are free roam to kill. That very night that they realize they're free roam to kill, everyone knows it's a free for all, and they go absolutely bananas on each other, and they're killing each other, going crazy. And this was all planned. They kind of knew it was going to happen. Like people lost their cool, and people saw their chance to dwindle down the numbers, and that these people were going to commit violent acts. And it was crazy because all of a sudden, like, no one could be trusted at any point. The game was now being played at all times, not just while you're in a certain game. Like you're always playing it whenever you're staying, like, just trying to sleep in your mattress at the thing or going to the bathroom or whatever. So these people were constantly playing the game at this point, constantly stressing. They had to take all their bunk beds that they had, and make, fortress out of them, and form teams that they can trust people and work together. So the game was just constantly going, and it was part of that psychological game, and you got to see each character and how they went about it. And the main character himself, he was very much supportive of the kind of the weaker people. He was very supportive of, like, he wanted to help out people like the old man. He helped out that girl that was kind of a loner and definitely was in danger from the one guy. And so he was kind of helping other people out, while his friend, I believe they're cousins, his like best friend or whatever, the one that he's known since a child and all that's the stuff, the really smart one, he was very calculated and would think of like what's the most likely biggest scenario, like the best scenario for us to win. And then there was one guy who was like kind of naive, the one from India, the one from a different country, the foreigner. He was kind of naive and didn't know the game, so he had to work with them to make sure he knew these kind of games that he never played before, and he sought help in others. So each person kind of did their own thing. You had the lone wolf, you had the main head gang boss kind of guy that get like the bad guy that brings people together. There's different kind of characters and different ways they try to go about the game. When it comes to the characters, the main character at first is kind of annoying. You're kind of like, dude, why are you like, you're struggling, you're poor because you're betting all your damn money away. You're borrowing money from these freaking gang members or sharks or whatever. You're screwing over your own mom. You're not getting time with your kid. Like, this dude's life has just been thrown away. And we get a little bit of background onto why, but it really doesn't dive deep into why he's kind of messed up. It seems to be stem from a giant riot at his work, at his place of employment when his daughter was born, and watching one of his coworkers die in front of him. I believe they're on strike for something, and they were being misused and mishandled, and because of that, he just hadn't been the same. He had missed his own daughter's like birth and all that stuff, and he just went downhill, and that seems to be the root of what kind of caused his downfall. So he's just in a bad place. He's kind of a silly guy. He's kind of weird, and just kind of it's just you know, a screw up. He's a screw up who lives with his mom and doesn't take proper, like, doesn't get to see his daughter and stuff like that. So he's a screw up, and you're like, what's wrong with you, dude? Like, you gotta be better than this. And then, but as the episodes go along, his character development works really well to where you see him grow a little bit, but you also understand that he's gone through hard times and he's brought himself down, but he's a very good person, and he really generally likes kind of helping people and working as a team with others. Has kind of tries to, you know, through all these games, he tries to have a positive outlook and a positive vibe through some of them, definitely in the beginning at least. So he really grows on you very quickly, and you learn he's amazingly acted. The acted is a phenomenal job, from seeing that very first, like, kind of gullible, down on his luck kind of guy, to growing into going through each game and all the stuff he sees. You can tell he's getting more and more scarred, and like it's getting darker and harder for him. By the end of the show, he is very much like in complete dread. Like, he's quiet, and he's lost. Like, complete, like, he just isolates himself, doesn't even touch the prize money. And then you go into other characters like his cousin, the friend that he's known since he was a kid. I think everyone can agree he's kind of the biggest asshole of the show. It wasn't even like a lot of the stuff he did. I was like, okay, he's doing it to win the game. You really can't blame him. Like, he's the smart guy. Like, he's thinking about this and saying, okay, the best way for me to survive right now is to kill this dude. Is for me to push this dude out of my way to get forward on the bridge. Best way for me to survive right now is to steal this dude's marbles and use my brain to steal this guy's marbles, because if I do that, I win. And, you know, it was me or him kind of thing. And that scene sucked. That scene was sad. Like, he screwed over an amazing character that was really kind, and you felt so bad for the guy because he didn't know the games and stuff, and he was just completely tricked. And you're just like, oh, dude, this dude has a kid, like a wife and kid, and he had, but it was one or the other. He had to choose between him or him. Like, it was me or you, and that's what it was. And he made the intelligent choice. And so, like, I didn't blame him. You can tell it hurt him because he was planning on working with that guy all the way. But at the end of the day, he made the choice that was smart, you know, and that's part of his character. And then there was also, you know, Puss in the Glass, and there was, I mean, killing the one female character was kind of a messed up move. You know, he said he was putting her out of her misery and all that stuff. Of course, he'd stall it. Really, he just saw it as a chance to kill a competitor and just make it him and one other person. The thing that's truly messed up is this dude. This is what pissed me off, and I knew he was an asshole from this very moment, because I knew he was going to be an asshole, is in the second game, the honeycomb game. This dude, he knew the game. He figured it out. He was able to learn what the game was and how like the easiest possible way to win it. Him and the three other people that he was with are coming up with a game plan to how to, like, there's 4 different doors. Depending on which door you choose makes the game harder. If you choose the umbrella, it's damn hard to take out the umbrella from the honeycomb without breaking it. The chances of you dying with the umbrella are way more likely than the triangle. The triangle is easy, the easiest one. And this dude doesn't tell any of them. He tells them instead, we should each divide up one each door to give us, you know, so we're each at a single door and getting a different thing, just so we're not putting all our eggs in one basket. But come on, like, you know the game, and he chooses immediately the triangle, the easiest one, and then his friend that he's known since he was a kid chooses the freaking umbrella, and you can tell right then that he thinks about it, like, oh no, that's the hardest one, but doesn't say a damn thing. Doesn't tell his best friend, oh no, come with me to the triangle, that's the easiest one. Umbrella, you're most likely gonna die. That's what's bullshit. Like, I was like, dude, what the hell? That's messed up. There's no reason to do that. Like, there was no reason to strategize, like, leading people to their death that early in the game, in my opinion. That's the reason I think he did it. I think he did it just because he wanted to get someone out, like get people out of the way earlier, and he was willing to sacrifice his own friend. So that was probably the biggest dick move in my opinion. But other than that, I think he stuck with his character very well. Of course, he was kind of the main bad guy to the main character. They were best friends, but he turns to a darker side and trying to win these games while the main character is trying to his best to work together and keep other people alive and all that. So in the end, like, man, this show is crazy, but there's a couple other great characters. There's the female character, not the crazy one, but the one that has the brother and this is the one that defected from North Korea, and the brother in the orphanage kind of thing. She's a very to herself player, but you see her break down a little bit. You see her open up towards the later end of the show. I think with her, the way they killed her off, I think was, I don't wish they did it differently. I feel like it's the main, like, kind of only, there's only 2 female characters in this show. Could have given her more, a little bit more, and put her part of the Squid Game stuff, but she was overall a good character. And then there was, of course, the old man, which the old man twist, absolutely great. I liked it. I loved it a lot. I love the twist. It kind of spoiled it. It was spoiled of it a little bit, but still, when it came about, I was like, damn, dude, that dude's behind all this. This old man literally just decided to play the game that he helped create and make, and decided to play into it. And he so my thoughts on him was like, of course they pulled it off perfectly. Was like, he was just an old man that part of this game. Like, he was not, he's a poor old man that just sat there. And I wonder if he kept his eye on this guy, the main character, the whole time, because he sat with him at the store, and like maybe he went to all the different characters, all the different players, and can push them and convince them to go back into the game. I don't know, but it was a great twist. And what's crazy is, like, when you look back on the show and like earlier episodes, and you figure out like, oh yeah, there were signs pointing to this guy being the head guy behind all these games, because there was the very first red light, green light. Whenever the sensor turned around, he was not being censored. He was the one character that didn't have a green sensor mark over him. So of course the thing wasn't looking for him to die. It was not gonna, even if he moved, he wouldn't have been shot. The weird thing with me is, like, what if he did fail the honeycomb? Would they have shot him right there? Like, was he actually in danger of death? Because in the first game, it shows that he wasn't. But in the second game, like, what if he broke it? I guess maybe he could definitely hide it. Like, he breaks it and no other player sees. And the guards can just be like, okay, yeah, you pass, and let him go. And, like, the other players just didn't see that he broke it. They just think he, did it. Tug of War also was like, he's the one who came up with the strategy. So he came into Tug of War knowing that was going to be one of the hardest ones for him to win. And so he knew the strategy of how to win with a weaker group. And so that's what, like, probably we went into and being like, okay, we got to come together and win. They almost did lose that, though. They almost lost to Tug of War. Like, they only won because the smart guy was figured out, hey, let's take 3 steps forwards and then go back. So what if they failed? What if he died? What if they went hanging from the thing? Would they have cut it and let him die? Or would they have been like, crap, we can't let this dude die, he's our boss? So I didn't know. I still question, like, what would have happened if, he was supposed to die because he lost a game. Of course, he dies in marbles. He acts like he's crazy and he ends up, he lets the other guy win, makes him thinks he died, comes back as the bad guy. And that leads me to the games of it, and like how the games are created and what was going on to make the games. And the show there's a lot of mystery behind it, and there still is. Like, the show ends with a lot of mystery behind the games, but from what we are shown during the season, we get basically the greatest glimpses of the insides of how the game works and what's going on through the story of the cop and what the cop is doing and his investigation work. He's going in to find his brother and figure out what happened to his brother. So he becomes one of the purple mask people. You can tell there's a ranking between these people depending on the shape on their mask, whether it's triangle, square, or circle. And this seems like they're prisoners. They seems like they are, to me, at least for the lower tier ones, they have that, like, they are told to go to their rooms when their day is done, go into their rooms, and it looks like a prison room, and they are stuck in there until they tell them to come out. So I'm feeling like they are like other people, like they are the game, like they're like the players, but instead of risking their lives for through the games, they're just simply helping the games go along. And so they are very interesting. There's a lot of mystery behind them. You can tell some of them, like, they were, some of them were doing things on the side, and they were selling body parts, and so these people weren't like they weren't good people. These were bad people. Like, a lot of these people that were wearing the mask were not good people. So that again leads me to think that these were just people they brought in, just like how they brought in the the players. And a lot of mystery behind them. And then so the games were started, and it seems like we figure out that there's been games for years. It's been going, you see all the files of every year. There's been different games with hundreds and hundreds of contestants. That means hundreds of people every year choose to play this game. They choose to risk their lives to save their debts, which is crazy. And I believe a little bit of hint that it could move to different countries, or there's at least one in every like other country. So there could be one in the US, a gameplay in the US, one played in Japan, one played in China, or I don't know if it might move around. That's a thought I kind of had, but it seems like there is multiple of these type of game. Basically, the games are played simply for the entertainment of rich people. Like, extremely rich people were extremely bored. They're like, okay, let's bring just poor ass people in, give them a shot at millions of dollars at life risking stakes, and let's watch it and enjoy their deaths and drama that happens with it. You get shown that clearly during the glass bridge game, when the VIPs show up. And of course, these people don't even know that they're being watched, but it shows all the VIPs. There's not a lot of them. There's like 6 or so. And probably one of my biggest knocks on the show too is the acting of these characters was god awful. The acting of the show is phenomenal with all the Korean characters, all the players and everything. They are phenomenal, like awesome job. I loved it. The American actors though, the ones speaking English, the rich, it was a typical stereotypical rich American. Bad acting. I was so annoyed with what these characters, man. They were so annoying to hear talk, and I hated them. But it did show, like, it showed off like these people just enjoying this luxurious life, doing whatever the hell they want. I mean, the cop who was undercover as one of the waiters, and the old dude's just like, hey, I want you. I'm gonna take you. You're mine. Let's go to my bedroom. And that's just how he was. He's like, I'm rich. I can have or do whatever the hell I want. So very stereotypical character. Still mystery on like how long the game's been going on. Where, like, is there games in other countries? And the biggest mystery of all, though, that I think when the show ending, it's probably the only thing that I really do want answered. Like, there's a lot of little unanswered things, but this is the biggest thing that I feel like I wish was answered. And if they're gonna do a season 2, I hope they go into more of. And that is the head guy who runs the game, under the black mask, who we learn is the cop's brother. We do not get told why he chose to be this. We know, I believe that he, I think, is a past winner of the game, but we don't know why he's all of a sudden the head master of this game. Like, why is he leading it? He obviously shoots his only brother on the island. They definitely leave an open end to whether or not that brother is alive or not, and whether or not his photos and videos of the place that he had sent off. They gave that a big open end, so if they want to do a season 2, they can explore that. And if they do a season 2, I fully expect them to explore all that. Like, what the hell happened? Why is he there? Why is this brother all of a sudden the head guy? What is going on? Like, what's his purpose? And then, we definitely want to learn more about the workers and what the hell, why they're ranking the way they are. Like, who's who? Are they taken from the street or what? So that's the biggest mystery, is why is the brother there? Is the cop alive? Did those photos get sent? And that's one thing I would like to figure out if doing a season 2. When it comes to the ending of the show was very left, kind of a little open. It was left with that wide open thing. The final episode after so let's start off with the final game, the Squid game. An interesting little game where you had to, like, go down the side and then go across, hopping on one leg, and you got to make it across. And the main character shows, like, he shows that he's smart at these games. He played these games growing up, so he knows ways to get around. He throws the dirt in his face, like he outsmarts the smart guy, a little bit. And it basically just becomes an all out brawl between the two in the center, and like they try to push each other out. It's basically just a straight up fight. That's what it is, to the death. And of course, the main character ends up beating the living hell out of his friend, almost to the point of death. And he does it. I mean, he's angry at it. He says he wants to kill him and end him. And then when he gets his chance to win, to get to the top and win the game, and his friend getting shot and killed, he chooses to not let him die, and says, "No, I'm gonna quit the game. Quit with me. I'm gonna give up all the prize money. I'm not gonna win any of it. I'm not gonna take any of it. Just live with me." I can't. He couldn't take it anymore. He broke at that moment. He said, "I've lost so many people." He's like, "All these people that I got to meet during this whole thing, I've lost, and all of them are dead. Hundreds of people are dead, and I'm gonna be the lone one standing." I don't think he didn't feel right to him. So, but of course, his best friend, main character, he chooses to kill himself to let him win, to let his friend win, with the asking of basically help my mom out. And so he goes off, he wins the game, he gets all the prize money. One thing that gets me is he doesn't touch it for a year. This dude is traumatized, and he basically just wastes his life for a year, lives like he's homeless and poor. He loses his mom and loses his daughter to the US. And what makes me mad is he made a promise to help out that little girl's brother, and he doesn't do it off the bat, and he doesn't help out his friend's mother, who you can tell by the when it goes to her later, you can tell her shop went shot down and went to a smaller little cart. And so like he didn't help them out. The people that he cared about and that died in the games, and the money that he gotten off their deaths, he didn't use to help them right away. He took a whole year, and then all of a sudden when he gets revealed that the old man was still alive and that he was the guy of the games, he proves to the old man that humanity exists and that good is there. He decides to dye his hair red, which I believe in Korean culture apparently signals like big change in someone's life. And he chooses to finally use the money to help these people and start spending the money. Of course, it's led with the ambiguous ending of him finding another card, calling the people that put him in the game, and at that moment deciding, he asked for answers, they didn't give it to him, so he decides, instead of going and seeing his daughter in the US, turns around and goes in to figure out what the games are about, what's behind the games, and what started them, and how he's definitely on a mission to end the games. He wants to end the games, and it's left with that ending of what the hell, like he just walks away, and that he's after the games. That's all we know. So it leaves it open for season 2, but I do feel like the ending is, I felt like if this is all he wants to do, if this is it, if he just wants to do this one season, the writer and director, it's a fine ending. It's a good show, and I'm overall satisfied with how the show began and end. Only one thing that you gotta praise about the show is it's only 9 episodes, and it really has no wasted air. It doesn't have any episodes that are just kind of there. Every single minute is used up to tell the story, and it's really, the pacing is absolutely amazing. It only 9 episodes, but you get everything you need and not too much. It's really well done. I don't know if I want a season 2 sometimes. Like I said, there's that big answer that I want answered of what the hell is the brother doing. But I can feel like the writer of the show who wrote and direct every episode said he doesn't want to do a whole season. Like he doesn't want to write and direct every episode if they choose to do another season. So he'd bring in help. And you just never know with a show like this if a season 2 can actually work. Like this might just be good enough. The mystery of it, to me, is something that sometimes can be good. Like leaving with mystery of a show and leaving an open frame of mind of how some things work and what's going on. Like how did the workers get there, and what is he doing, and what is he going to do? Like, is he going after and whatnot? I think sometimes that's good. Like sometimes you just need that mystery, and it helps really give the show like this feel and let your mind think and create its own story. If they do a season 2, we could possibly see, like, maybe not only do we learn more about the brother, whether the cop's alive, what's going on with that game, but maybe other games from across, maybe it goes around the world. It goes to America or China or Russia and goes around the world to different games and sees different games being played and all these different people dying. So there's a lot they can do, and they left so much of an open end that they could be, but I'd be very satisfied with just this ending. I think the ending is fine. I think the ending is overall, I left very satisfied with the show. I loved all the thought, all the little, question marks and all that stuff, leaving my mind open to what I thought would happen, what's going on. One thing I also have to praise more of is just the going back and seeing the little hints to, what is it called? Where it kind of shows the future. Foreshadowing, little bits of foreshadowing, like the fact that the old man was actually evil and was, well, not evil, but that, well, yeah, he's evil, but the main guy behind this whole thing, and that he was just in it to kind of experience a little bit of fun. But also like in the room that they were all sleeping in, on the walls, each one of the games, and they didn't realize it. There was each one of the games were on the walls. In the first couple episodes, you can't really see it because all the bunk beds are covering, and no one saw it. Which is weird to me. I feel like someone, like, there's a couple hundred people in that room. I feel like someone would have noticed at some point, as definitely as the beds are dwindling. And then as the beds dwindle per episode, you start seeing it. They start cracking open. At first, I just thought they put them up out of nowhere. Like, oh, they decided to put up the games that have already been played. Like, no, they've been there the entire time. People could have figured out what games were being played next. So the foreshadowing, it's great. The pacing is phenomenal. The acting is top notch. It's, to me, the thing I gotta wonder is how the hell this show become big. Like, I get it, it's amazing, it's really good, it should be popular, but it is weird to see, like, all of a sudden the show just boom, like that. Everyone loved it. It becomes the new Tiger King. It's looking to be the number one on Netflix show ever. A lot of times it's partly because of hype. Like, people, it started getting on social media, and social media just, once you get on there, snowball goes and goes and goes, and people learn about it. And K dramas have been becoming more popular, especially since like Parasite came out. People realize how good Korean shows and movies can be. So it is crazy to see this show all of a sudden gain this huge popularity. I think people really, the set design of childish games and rooms and stuff that they play in, like this childish innocent feel, but with these deadly games, is very interesting. And like every episode you're left wanting to watch the next episode to see what the next game is. You're like, oh, what's next? What am I gonna watch next? What crazy game are they gonna die with? And it definitely, like, the pacing's amazing. Every episode leaves you wanting more. The set design, the acting, it is a very, very well done show. I loved everything about it. If you haven't watched it yet and you just heard my whole spoiler thing and you heard everything about it, everything I had to say, there's even more. You gotta go watch it. Highly recommend. Dan, I know you're editing this. Watch it. Watch it, Dan. You gotta do it. I know you said you're busy. I don't care. Watch it. So thank you very much, you guys, for watching this review. I hope I gave a little bit of clarity on my thoughts on it. I hope you guys, leave comments down below, down wherever, leave it, and let us know what you think of the show. What was your favorite moments? What game did you think was kind of crazy? And give your own thoughts and opinions. Thank you guys very much. Again, I'm Overdue Bobcat 50 on twitch.com. I will start streaming Far Cry 6 here soon and doing some gameplay for that. And I also do other video games. I'll do my podcast here with my buddy Dan. And yeah, catch me on Twitch. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good one.